Welcome to filming while I'm filming. I figured I'd start off here because I'm going to be building the Fractal Torrent, but I'm also doing a glam video of the entire thing. So here we are shooting that, which sucks because I'm trying to get in here with a screwdriver to put the NVMEs in, like behind the camera. I don't know. This sucks. The motherboard's all assembled and everything. New cooler, tons of new fans, a new vertical GPU bracket. Like, it's just, I basically redid the entire thing. This case did perform better than the old one, which my roommate actually has the same case, the NZXT H510 Elite. And it performs better, it does. And there's more that I'll get into once I have this assembled, but this is not worth the money. And if you're gonna buy one of these, only get the RGB model. Every other variant of this case is just an absolute ripoff. But unfortunately, it took me so long to build in this that I can't send it back because it's past the return period. So I'm just gonna kind of move some stuff out of the way so that way I can start putting stuff in the case itself. I'm gonna continue making these videos, which will be on my other channel. So whenever that's done, because it's gonna take forever to edit this video. So I just got the motherboard in, I put all the screws in and everything, and I forgot to put the CPU power cables in. This case is advertised as a liquid cooling case that fits EATX. This is an EATX motherboard, and it covers half the grommets. Trying to get the 24 pin through here absolutely sucks. So that's going to be a nightmare. And since the CPU power has to go through here, but I have those stupid Corsair cables, which are just ridiculously thick, the only way to actually get those through, like, nicely would be to put them in first and then route the cable through as you're putting the motherboard in. So these cables here, because they have like this giant stupid thing on them. Like, why? Like, not only is that just absolutely hideous, but it doesn't bend. What am I supposed to do with this? And then the cable mod cables only come with one CPU thing, so. Hey, let's just try and struggle and get this through. Oh god. Like, it just barely fits. They really didn't want anything in this case to be easy. That's for sure. Like, look at trying to stick this thing through. Like, it like just fits. Bend this through here. Come on. So the CPU power is connected. Cool. Let's do the rad. Now, putting the rad in sucks. So I need 3 of these. We'll link them together. And now we need the H170i. Hello. Now the hoses are gonna go on the bottom, so it's gonna go like this. So I want the Liam Lee logo to be facing up. Right. I have to do this. So now this is ready to go in. It's gonna set with the stickers in the correct orientation and everything. So now, because this is all going to be in the way, I'm not actually gonna be able to see where these come out. So I have to run the fan wires first. And now, because these ones have to go through here, we have to lift this fan up, then get the wires through, and then run them down. Perfect. This fan here, and move this one up. We take this one here, and move this one up. So now those are out of the way, and this one has side-to-side movement. Now, we have to start screwing this one in first. You're so loud. I know you're just absolutely adorable and I just don't want to get mad at you, but you're driving me nuts because you've been doing this for the last 8 hours and I'm gonna kill myself. Yeah, look at a distraction. So now I gotta prepare some of these first because the tolerance on this absolutely sucks. So like it hits the metal bracket. So you gotta get that through. This one through. Get another one. And last one here. Come on. There we go. I have to hold this up in here, but it has to go through here. And I just have to kind of line this fan up with wherever the screw holes want to meet up. So now we have up and down movement. So now I can put this bottom fan in, but then once this is in place, we have to like He-Man the whole thing down and just shove it as far down as possible to actually fit this fan in because it's hitting. Like right now, this is as far down as it can go, and like it doesn't want to go in. We have to get this bottom one in first. Those are butted up together very nicely. We have to rotate the whole thing. Make sure this fan doesn't fall out. Oh my god. Now we just have to press down here and just kind of get this fan in place. Remember, this is marketed as a liquid cooling case that fits a 420mm rad on the front. This is a 420mm rad, and that's how you have to install it. Anyway, now that's installed, and conveniently, right on the top is where that little connector goes, and then it just follows the rest of the wires down. Now let's get a glam shot of those fans. There we go. All of these fan cables and the RGB things and everything all have to come up through here, and they all just tuck in the side right here. Now the Lee fans, this fan header thing here is gonna go somewhere. I'll worry about this later. Same with the commander core. This will be a later problem. I guess now I can install the power supply and just leave the cables out. I should still have enough room. I can plug everything in. Yeah, that should be fine. So I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna combat this wire. This plugs into the motherboard. Motherboard comes up right here. This is gonna go around and then back through into the grommet. And I can't even use cable combs, because even if I wanted to use a cable comb, it's gonna go from these first ones to these three, and then another cable comb from these three to these ones here, so it's not really gonna attach to anything. I'm just gonna kind of wing this, and hopefully it works, because I don't have enough cable ties to do this again if it doesn't. I'm still kind of playing with it. I really have no idea what I'm doing. Now I just gotta start flossing these through. So only those ones. So it'll be something like that when it's done. And it won't be like super tight, so I'll be able to like slide it up and down as needed, so I can position it correctly. And now I'm just gonna continue this until I have them all kind of figured out. I don't know, maybe it'll work. Maybe I'm just wasting time, I have no idea. I just know it looks ugly as hell, and I'm trying to fix it because it looks terrible when it's in there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with these ones here. Then the graphics card will look kind of like tidy. It could have went better, but because I don't have any extra cable ties, that's how it looks. If I were to do it again, one thing I would do is alternate the direction of the little like clasp. One in from one side, one in from the other side. So that way when I'm zipping them all together, they alternate in like a checker pattern going across. So that way when you pull them all tight, they're not gonna squish up against each other and push the cable out, because now it's physically wider than like the connector. So you can see that it kind of comes out. But that did let me get a nice bend all the way in behind it. This little rubber grommet isn't being pulled out anymore, and the cables are relatively straight. So, I don't know. Now I just get to run all the rest of the cables and then just start cable managing everything, and this is gonna suck. Now, this, which goes to the commander core, I will again tuck down and just under there. Now we can push this through here. So those are all nice and parallel. This will come out right beside those. Now I can put this rear fan in, the bottom ones, and then I'm ready to start running all of the cables. Oh my god, this is gonna suck. Why is there one different thumb screw on this? Oh my god, I can't even with the Fractal. This case is such a piece of garbage. When I had it assembled for the testing, I didn't know if I was going to be putting this fan back on the bottom, and because of the orientation, I wanted the stickers all to be the same direction, so that way it's as OCD as possible. So we have the Lee stickers facing the correct orientation, but because of how they mount with the connectors on this side, and then little pads on this side, it would go like this. So the sticker goes on to cover this because it's going to be sideways. But now that I'm only going to have two at the bottom, this fan here is going to be up here as an exhaust. So I have to put the sticker on, because if it was sitting here, the sticker would be facing me. And if it's facing here, then the sticker would be sideways. Where'd I put the camera? And now when putting these on, this eye just has to be perfectly straight up and down. So now this fan can go right in. Now I'm going to be covering all of this in the video where I'm actually fitting this cooler, because it was a nightmare, so I just made its entire own video on trying to make this work. But because of the complexity of how this computer works, I need to have this in with the fans on in order to put the GPU in. But I also have to plug in all the fans and the connectors and everything on the front before I can put the GPU in, so... Because like the whole point of cable managing this whole thing is so I don't have to take it apart again. So maybe I will just cut and weld the rest of this. I still don't understand why one of those thumb screws is different. Like those are the same, this one's the same, that one's different. Why? I think it came pretty good. Considering you just kind of hacked this together in the garage. Now these are going to tuck down here. Not the most graceful solution. The GPU is going to be mounted right here, so you're not going to see this dividing of the hoses. Everything is super clean. I need glam shots. That's pretty much it. I just skipped all this because it took forever. Like, it's just constantly taking wires out, putting them back in, trying to figure out how to route them, folding wires, tucking wires. I don't know. It's just, you either can or you can't. Like, there's no middle ground. You have to, like, plan out your routes. You have to move cables, start plugging them in one by one. You have to do all the bigger cables last, like the CPU, the PCIe, just because those are going to get in the way a lot when you're trying to route all of the smaller things first, do the controllers after all the smaller things are routed, and then the big ones. But also all of this works in kind of like one fluid motion, because as I'm running all the fan cables, I'm trying to figure out where the controller is going to go, but I don't want to adhere the controller until I've actually figured out where I can route everything. Now ideally I wanted to have this controller either over here, or I wanted to have this one sitting horizontally right here. The issue with this case is there's not really any way to get the fan cables out through here and getting them through these holes here without like trying to get the, I don't know, like the whole thing has to go in as one piece. So having all the wires coming out of the top, it just makes it a lot easier to assemble. And considering this 420mm rad really doesn't fit in this case, trying to get all of the wires run like through these separate holes while trying to put that in as one piece, and then with like the balancing act, putting the fans in and everything, it's just, it's not happening. Like, it's possible. I could have done that. I could have moved this controller down here. I could have taken this Lee one and put it up here. So that would have been like a much more clean setup, because I wouldn't have had all of this just kind of sitting right in the middle. It's just, it's significantly more work to try and get those fans in like that. And then if I actually do get them in like that, then servicing this is just going to be an absolute nightmare. I mean, not to say it's, you know, any good right now. I just can't get over how bad this case is to work with. Like, the only benefit really is how deep this is. The motherboard tray goes further back than most cases. Usually you only have about this much room, but there's a recessed area, so you actually have a fair amount of room in here. Like, even with these cables stacked up at least an inch high, if you like look straight down, this cable right here doesn't protrude past this. So putting the glass on, it's not even going to touch the cables, let alone squish them in. So I mean, that's really good. Short story long, cable management is done. I'm content with it. Is it good? No. Does it work? Yes. Is it better than just stuffing everything in there? Yes. Is this going to be easier to diagnose in the future? Subjective. Because yes, I can see everything very easily and be able to access it and whatever, but then I have to take a whole bunch of stuff apart to actually like service anything. So it's kind of 50-50. It depends on whether you like to deal with a giant mess of wires or if you like to see clean wires. But because the back of this case is glass, I had to do this. Finally ready to put the back glass on. Line up those little tabs. And for added security, just because they clip in, so it is easy for them to fall off, there's a little set screw, just to make sure that you can't accidentally knock it off. So that's in there on the back, because why would I be going in here routinely? So all the cable managing is done. I don't know, maybe I'll change it up when I do a new graphics card or something, but I mean, like, realistically there's not anything else left to do on this computer. Even up here, everything is all cable managed in place. We got this whole like wiring harness coming down, and there's actually still a fair amount of room. Like, this whole top piece right here is hollow, so there's more room up here for stuff. There's space in here where, realistically, we could have tucked some of the wires if absolutely needed. Like, the case is kind of coming around for me. Like, I hated it at first, but now that I've kind of fixed everything and got it all working, like, I'm kind of getting back into it. Like, I really like it. But again, this is not worth buying. Don't buy the gray one. If you're gonna get one, get the RGB model. You have the fans. Even if you don't want to use them, sell the fans. But at least you'll have matching glass, because this doesn't. I'm gonna put this top cover on first, just because I'm not gonna have the set screw in the front glass. So now I'm just gonna show you a couple things here. I don't know, noteworthy mentions. This USB 3 header, I had to put a cable tie around it and then pull it tight because there was so much force from this right here that it was actually pulling, and I was concerned that's going to break this socket over time. And then again, the like super ghetto 24 pin kind of cable comb thing or whatever, I don't know, it looks stupid, but it looks better than it did. And I was able to get the wires to actually go through this grommet without ripping the grommet out. Success. Right now, everything is CPU controlled, but that's only for the benchmarking video that I'm doing with the CPU right now because that's how I had everything set up. However, I am going to be changing it, so this fan and these fans down here are controlled by the GPU temperature. These ones here will have a completely off idle setting, so only when the CPU is going under load, these fans will turn on. So just browsing the web, doing whatever, only these 3 Corsair fans on the outside are the ones that are actually going to be running at a very low RPM. Nothing else is going to be running except for the like low RPM fan on the GPU. And finally we have this bracket that I ended up modifying here. Right now, this is it. I'm just gonna wipe down like fingerprints and stuff. I'm finally gonna do the peel on the CPU water cover acrylic whatever thing. I'm gonna wipe this down and then we're ready to put the glass on. Now we can take off the outer peel, but also being careful not to pull the cover off because I don't have that set screw in yet. There we go. It's finally done. So now I just have to clean off my entire desk, clean up all of the mess that I made, set this up again, and then I can show you all of the stupid flashy lights and how it all works or whatever, and we'll wrap this video up. So I've just gotten to the end of the video. I never recorded anything. So, I mean, I kind of cleaned the desk off. I mean, don't even really look over there. I'm doing a whole bunch of other stuff right now. But as for cable management and everything, you know, this case and I kind of got off on the wrong foot. YouTube reviews and everything, they basically raved about this case being like the greatest thing that ever existed. In actual practice, it wasn't really that good. I'm going to be doing like an entire review video explaining everything, but the cable management on the back, it has these little loops, which was super cool. I fixed pretty much everything else. And if I just shut this light off here, I actually have lighting on the back now because I've added 12 volt LED strips. So everything is lighting up perfectly. The front looks great. And even on the back, all the cable management and everything is very visible. I still have it up against the wall because I haven't finished the new layout for the studio. Right now, I am very content. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe if you haven't already. You can join the members program if you want to help finance this stuff, or don't do any of it. I'm not telling you what to do.